Hello and welcome to the Turn 4 podcast. I am your host, Dan Maldonado. If this is your first time listening, welcome. If you're a regular listener, welcome back. This podcast gives a fan's perspective on IndyCar and other forms of motorsports. Before we get started, let me introduce you to my co-host, the birthday boy, Tim Reiner. Tim celebrated a birthday yesterday.
Yes, I did.
Happy birthday, Timmy.
Thanks, Dan. I figured you'd bring that up, but I wasn't expecting it right off the top. But I guess that's the time we talk about that stuff.
Yeah,
Yes,
where
I
else
did
would I
have a
put it?
birthday yesterday, which was the 7th of August. Yes, I try not
Nice.
to tell many people, but people tend to find out, and then my phone blows up, and then people want to hang out. And you know how social I am, so it's
Well, I put it on Twitter yesterday, so everybody knows about it.
Who put it on Twitter?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
I've not been on Twitter.
I know. You've been busy.
Yeah, I've not been on Twitter. I didn't want to spoil the race because I didn't watch it until today and just finished with it just a little bit ago. So
I'm thankful for the long rain delay because I was, of course, at the Tiger game, the Detroit Tiger baseball game, which ended in disaster. But that disaster actually gave me enough time to get home and start this race right on time, and didn't have to back up the DVR or do anything else like that. Which I'm thankful because when it got moved to CNBC, I would have been in trouble with how my DVR settings were set. So I would have had to wait for Peacock to put the replay in there. So
yeah, so I went to my recording on NBC just to see if it would, like, went to the Prix race, and then I went to the race, and I was watching golf. I was watching ladies golf, and I was like, oh, something's going on. And so I gave up on the NBC broadcast and went over to Peacock and watched it on Peacock. So I'm glad I have Peacock. If I didn't have that, I'd be in trouble. I wouldn't have seen the race.
Yeah, I know,
Because
right?
I would have lost it. It's not going to switch over to CNBC, and so I don't know how that sort of factors in for viewership and what it's going to look like when the numbers come out in the next day or so.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Good. Yeah.
Well, tonight, Timmy, obviously, we're going to discuss the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. But first, we got a little F1. We got a little IMSA. And we even got a little NASCAR, Timmy.
Wow. That's a lot.
It is. So I know what you're thinking. F1 is off this weekend. What is there to discuss? Well, F1 had their own hold my beer moment when Alonso announced he was leaving Alpine for Aston Martin. Sounds like he hadn't told anyone at Alpine prior to this announcement on social media. Furthermore, Otmar Zafnauer, one of my favorite names in F1, made a statement that suggested that Alonso was on holiday on a boat and largely unreachable. So Mr. Zafnauer wasn't able to get anything or any clarity out of Alonso. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Then Alonso goes and posts to his social media channel a picture of himself very much on land. So things don't necessarily get better from here. The prevailing wisdom was that Alpine was reluctant to give a multi-year deal to Alonso, perhaps because of his age, but really because they couldn't hold off any longer giving an F1 ride to Oscar Piastri. So Alpine announces Piastri will be in the seat vacated now by Alonso. However, Piastri put out his own Pelot statement refuting the fact that he would be racing for Alpine in 2023. Guess where he'll be racing? It seems. Tim, guess where Oscar will be racing in 2023?
I think it's the same place that every race car driver is driving next year, which is McLaren.
Yes, he should be suited up in orange. I don't know how many drivers McLaren has signed now, but it seems they have more butts than seats. I guess we'll have to see how this thing plays out. Not to mention that Daniel Ricciardo still has that option to be in that seat in 2023. So McLaren has to do some maneuvering or mechanisms is what Zach Brown said earlier this year to get Daniel out of that seat.
I'm not sure they have any of these drivers signed.
Me neither.
Any of them. It's like this crazy circle, and every silly season rumor that's come about in the last month and a half, 2 months has all been around McLaren and Zach Brown. I don't know, pulling straws out of his, what, and just poaching drivers and trying to get drivers signed and saying drivers are signed, but they're really not signed.
I don't know.
It's a very bizarre situation, and that organization that does not kind of putting a little scar on their face, right? They just don't look good.
Nope.
In the eyes of of me. I can only speak for myself, but I'm assuming that kind of goes around everywhere. And then you got to think about Rossi going to the team, and what are his thoughts on it? They keep reassuring him like everything's good. Like, is he asking
I
questions?
don't think
would
Rossi
be asking.
plays into it here. I think Rossi knew what he was getting into, particularly because he's such good friends with Hinch. But Rossi doesn't play into any of this, right? I mean, they've got a lot
But
of
he's
crazy
got to
things.
wonder, right? He's got.
I don't think he
like, did I
cares.
make
His seat is secure. I think is how he feels. His seat's secure. If his seat weren't secure, honestly, somebody would find a seat for him.
Yeah. And I don't think it's his seat's secure. I just think for how long is it secure for?
How long is anyone's?
A year? Yeah.
Wasn't DeFrancesco on a long-term deal? And Michael's shopping that seat. So,
well, it's kind of a different situation, I would think. I was looking at some of the Ricardo stuff.
Let's not move there though. Let's move on. So we'll come back to Ricardo and we'll come back to some of the other stuff. If it's okay.
It's okay.
All right. NASCAR Xfinity will be welcoming a road course ringer to the series when Marco Andretti. Timmy, you know that guy?
I do know that guy.
He's going to suit up for the Charlotte Roval. I've been trying to say that word, those two words for 2 days.
Roval.
The Charlotte Roval on October 8th. Sponsorship by Big Machine Spiked Coolers. Tim, what are your thoughts on this? Marco going over to run an Xfinity race.
I'm going to watch it. I don't watch any Xfinity races, but this one I'm definitely going to watch. But this is news to me. I didn't know about it until I started looking at notes. So I've been kind of off the social media front. So I didn't know that was happening. So I looked it up just to see, what he was doing. But I'd rather see him in a Cup event. Like, I'm kind of disappointed it's Xfinity.
He hasn't earned it, though.
What do you mean he hasn't?
He hasn't earned it.
He won the
He's got a name.
What was it? The SRX series? Is that what it was called?
Okay.
That's earning.
I won the spelling bee in 1985.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
That is an awesome fact, because there's no way I'd ever win at a spelling bee contest.
Nobody's putting me in a Cup car, and it means about the same.
It has nothing to do with driving a race car.
What in the blank does Cal Petty have to do with it? Anyway, go ahead.
Well, he's the fifth Andretti to drive a NASCAR, which is interesting. How do you think he'll actually do?
Terrible.
Like, I don't know how good the team is and all that, but you think he'll do terrible?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do well. It won't be let me be kind. Might be a top 15 finish.
That's pretty good. First time out.
Yeah.
I say, I don't know what he's going to do. I'd like to say top 10, but who knows? Who would have said he was going to win the SRX series? Nobody would have said that. Yep. So
I'm glad to see him do that.
He's still got it. He's still got it.
Looks like he's having fun. Yep.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, looks like he's having fun. Wrapping up NASCAR news. Congrats to Kevin Harvick.
I want to wait. Do you think that's going to lead to some full-time ride that he's going to do eventually in NASCAR? You think that's his new path for driving success?
I don't know if Michael has any plans to go to NASCAR full-time.
You said his dad has to do it for him to get a ride?
I think so. Who's going to put him in and pay him?
Let's wrap up the NASCAR news.
Yeah. Congrats to Kevin Harvick on his win at Michigan Speedway. This is Harvick's first win in 65 races. I was actually surprised to see that. Second place was the pole sitter, Bubba Wallace, with Denny Hamlin finishing third, unless, of course, something gets flagged in post-race. But I haven't seen anything, so that's probably going to hold up. So...
There you go. That was Michigan International Speedway. Did you see any of that?
I didn't see any of it. I didn't see any of it. I giggled, out loud when you asked me if I was going to that, of course.
Oh, I did. I said, "Are you heading to MIS this weekend?" And you're like,
the best response I could come up with was that intended for me?
Yeah. I didn't know you had tickets to the Tiger game. Otherwise, I would have never asked.
We had the whole weekend, Friday and Sunday. IMSA visited one of the greatest American road courses this past weekend, Road America. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to watch that race. It was a rather busy weekend. Really wanted to, but couldn't, and couldn't fit in the replay because of how long the IndyCar race was, and I wanted to rewatch IndyCar today as I normally do. But did you see any of this race, Timmy?
No, I did not. Like I said, I only saw the IndyCar race a couple hours before this recording.
There you go. Nonetheless, results. First place to Ricky Taylor and Philippe Albuquerque, despite how it's spelled. In the Wayne Taylor Racing, Konica Minolta Acura. So it was a good weekend for Honda.
Yeah.
Bamber and Lynn in the O2 Cadillac in second place, which is my favorite Cadillac DPI. With Van der Zandt and Bourdais in third place in the 01 Cadillac. Both Cadillacs, of course, prepared by Chip Ganassi Racing. Of further note in IMSA, on the GTD Pro class was Vassar Sullivan Lexus, driven by former IndyCar driver Jack Hawksworth and Ben Barnicoat.
The O2 is the purple one?
The maroon black.
So you mentioned at the start of this, that's great results by everybody. I like, what happened there with Honda all the way across the board there with IMSA and this. You mentioned IMSA being at Road America, right? The greatest road course in America. What's the second greatest? I got one.
Second,
it's in New York
road. Oh, Watkins Glen. Is that what you?
I think that's got to be the.
I think that's number 2. I could warm up to that. I could warm up to that.
I think Laguna Seca is pretty close to that too.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking, but I think you're right with Watkins.
If you just look at the history of the track and who's raced there, I think Watkins has got to be there.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, cool.
It's funny we don't put Circuit of the Americas in there.
It's too new.
Purpose built.
I think that's what it is, right? It's just too new. It doesn't have the history, right?
Yeah. We'll see it in October. It's pretty exciting. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you've been there and I'm going.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
no, we're going together, right?
We are.
With my son. Yeah.
Yep.
It'll be awesome.
Yep. Son number 1. And not number 1 like in your heart, but number 1.
Firstborn son. Yeah.
In order.
I got 2.
Yeah. So now on to the feature. This is IndyCar's second trip to Nashville. Might be too early to call this race snake bitten, but man, Tim, long rain delay, super long rain delay, plus oppressive heat, and then higher than average yellow flags 2 years in a row. With all the yellows and spins and broken Delaras, our friends at Steps Towing and Recovery were kept very busy all day. It was pretty cool to see our friends there.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Last year,
it wasn't hard to miss, right?
No, right. They were out there all the time. They were on track almost longer than the whole IndyCar field was. Last year we had 33 yellow flag laps. In 22, yesterday, there were 36 yellow flag laps. Here's the deal. NASCAR is a great city with a pretty robust tourism scene. They don't need this race. This race to me is not on my list to attend, at least not right now. First, probably because of the heat, but really more importantly, because it has shown no rhythm. All these yellows. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't expect it this year, because there were really no substantive changes to this track. I kind of laughed a little when the pre-race show put up a graphic that showed winning percentage based on pit stops. And 3 stops had a 5% chance to win. Tim, do you know how many stops Dixon made? Dixon was the winner, of course. Do you know how many stops he had?
I think it was double.
6. Yep, that's right. Do you remember how many Ericsson had en route to victory last year?
5.
Yep. Tim, this track has layout problems.
Yeah, I totally agree. This circuit is not sustainable at all. It's just sheer carnage. It's bad. It's almost like a demolition derby out there, which isn't good at all. When
they should just do a V8 course.
Yeah, totally. Where they cross each other and you just try to make it across. Yeah. There were 11 cars out of the race, 10 due to contact, 1 with a mechanical, which was probably some contact at some point, which was Marcus. Maybe there wasn't. But I thought at the end of the day, it was a little entertaining, which is weird because last year I could barely get through the race. But this year I found some entertainment in it. I thought there was obviously some good passing and things of that sort, but it was just bumper cars.
Yeah.
Good way to put it.
Yep. Good way to put it.
But the drivers seem to enjoy it too, but I'm sure the owners hate it. It's such an expensive weekend from a car perspective.
I'm sure Delara loves
your
it.
Cars.
Yeah.
Bunch more orders for wings and whatnot, under trays, everything. Jimmy Johnson's case, the whole right side.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh man, that car sustained a lot of damage. It was kind of surprising. Second year in a row, though, that same spot caught Jimmy out. So, you're so good with the segues, by the way. So that helps segue us into the team by team. And of course, Jimmy Johnson's team is first up on the team by team. So Dixon, of course, takes the win. This might have been one of the luckiest finishes for Scott, I believe. As I mentioned, he stopped 6 times. He had diffuser damage, underwing damage. That necessitated a massive front wing adjustment, removing downforce. Nonetheless, Iceman continues to solidify his place as a legend in IndyCar as he moves into second place in all-time IndyCar wins. He moves off the tie with Mario Andretti and behind AJ Foyt, and to second place in championship standings for 2022.
Yeah. We're watching history. Like, everybody should take note that we're watching history. And I don't know if we knew that 4 years ago, 2 years ago. Like, I don't think anybody thought of Scott being that good and doing what he's doing, but it's definitely something to really watch and pay attention to.
Yeah. Him and
just
power.
Enjoy it. Some people may be like, oh, I don't want to see Scott. Scott's always winning, but take back and enjoy it and go, wow, this man's accomplished a lot. So I think he's, obviously he's in the hunt for the championship. He's kind of been there, but he's kind of been, sort of second fiddle to other drivers on the team. One other driver on the team, I think, for the past year and a half, but he's awesome. He's really good.
And you're referring to Pelot.
Yeah, and I'm referring to Pelot. But as we talked in our last episode, this is a repeat winner in 2022 and not a new winner. And there seemed like a good chance that there was going to be a new winner this race, but it didn't happen.
Who did you think would have been the new winner? Just curious.
Well, when it was all stacked up like that, I thought Lundgaard was going to. I thought there was going to be a first-time winner in the series. I thought Lundgaard was going to pull this one out because he looked really fast. He had a lot of. If he was behind somebody, he was closing the gap, right? It wasn't like he was just fading away.
Yeah.
And then on that restart, man, he dropped way back.
Get hung out the drop.
Lost a ton of positions. I don't know what happened there. I think it's just, when it comes to IndyCar racing, it's physical. And if you're not being physical, you're going to get pushed to the back immediately. And I think that's where the aggression for these drivers comes in, that the only way to move forward, especially on a circuit this tight, is to get your elbows out. I don't know how many times they bumped wheels with other drivers and rear-ended people and continued on. You had 2 drivers that went a lap down that finished 4th and 5th. I know we'll get there.
We're going to get there.
Which is crazy. Like, how do you have a race that you're lap down and you come back and you're so there? That goes back to the
stops and all the yellow flags. It's not entertaining. I think if you're on site and you're an IndyCar fan, I don't know necessarily that you could really enjoy this as a race. I think you can enjoy it as an event, because it's a cool city. It's a cool place to be. If you like that oppressive heat, but I guess that's where you would say, oh, it was a great event. It was a great weekend. To me, I'm an IndyCar fan. I want to see a good race. If an event happens to happen around a great race, then I'm happy, but I'm not there necessarily for the event. I'm there for a good race. Think of it
this way. Like, your driver goes a lap down. That's your driver. That's who you follow. That's who you want to have win. At a normal track, you're watching everybody else. And you're like, okay, well, my favorite driver's out. In this scenario, they had a chance to come back and win, which was very entertaining to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy. It's super crazy.
Yeah. Third place, Alex Pelot. He also had damage to his front wing. He was making a pass on Power, whose car, of course, was hindered a bit by some mechanical damage, but managed to finish strong, as that loss of downforce didn't seem to impede him, being Pelot, from maintaining that position. Tim, there was a moment there where Ganassi congratulated Pelot in victory lane. Good moment, of course. Happy to see that. Did you see it?
I did see it, and I'm glad to see that they're talking, right? You got to have, with what's going on there, they got to talk to each other and have conversation and try to find a road to, a resolution of the contract dispute. So I think it's good they're at least communicated there, which I guess you would expect. If you got a podium finish, your owner would come up and congratulate you. Hopefully that leads to more conversation and they can, figure out what's going on, or they could stop and just leave it with the lawyers if they wanted to do that too.
Yeah. Alex led 31 laps and he could have won this thing. he could have been your first time winner this year, right?
He was the other
Which
guy
is
I
really
thought
where I
about
thought
too.
you were going with it. I was shocked that you
Mhm.
said Lundgaard. I've asked you a few times over the past week or two this question. What does Chip gain by suing Palou? So instead of putting you on the spot and asking you this, I'm going to offer you my thought here. Just my thought. My show, my thought. I wonder if Chip is trying to save Palou from himself and from what appears to be a less than stellar management team. And I'm being kind and G-rated by saying that. I believe Chip sees immense potential in Palou and is doing this to keep him from making a huge mistake that could jeopardize his career long term. What are your thoughts?
I don't think so. I think he's just trying to enforce the contract that he put in place. I don't think it's I want to save my driver and protect him because he's young and has a bad team, a management team, potentially, allegedly.
Mhm.
I think it's more
By all
of,
accounts, yeah.
yeah, I think more it's you're under contract. This is the agreement you sign. We're going to enforce the contract from a standpoint that you can't just break a contract and move on. There's got to be discussion within the team and what have you, and you got to go through the process here. So I think it might be a learning lesson of this is how we do business in racing, and this is the way you have to do it, according to what we've written up and how our contracts go. And Chip's in it just to enforce it at this point. And I don't think it's an enforcement at this point now to say you're racing with us in 2023, because I don't think there's any way that's going to happen.
Then why
They're
sue?
going to cut.
You went down this road. I was
it's
giving
all
you
on
an escape
principle.
route. So then why
It's-
sue? You don't
it's
sue
all on-
for you don't sue in civil court for principle.
Well, I don't know. Not a lawyer.
Because some judges are going to go,
I don't think he's
Mr.
trying to save
Ganassi,
him
we're
from
going to rule
himself.
in your favor. You have principle.
You're gonna say you have to abide by the contract.
And force them to race. That's the thing that I can't. That's the part I can't get my arms wrapped around. Is you're going to force them to race for you? That makes no sense to me. You go to arbitration and you say, all right, if you really want out on this thing, I've got a contract. You want out, this is what's going to cost you. And you can leave. You can leave tomorrow.
So,
but you don't have to go to federal court for that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a Chip saying if you want out, you got to pay us X amount of dollars to leave to break this contract. I don't know what's in the contract.
There you go.
Maybe
It's the only thing he could get out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if he's suing him for that, then I understand that.
And it's not like Palou's taking a sponsorship with him or anything like that.
No,
sponsorship
exactly right.
is Chips.
Yep.
So that can't
NTT
be
data. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to know what NTT
out.
Data's take is on this situation and what Honda's take is on this situation, because I'm sure both of those entities are unhappy with this.
Both don't want anything to do with it, but they're forced into it.
I'm sure. Well, no, I'm sure that they thought this was the second coming of Scott Dixon, right? That they were going to be able to carry on another 10, 15-year relationship with regular wins and regular championships with a very marketable personality and somebody that they could get behind. I'm sure that that's what they thought. And it's just going right down the tubes.
I think it's got to go back to F1. The kid has aspirations to go to F1. And that's what he's trying to do.
Apparently, yeah.
And that road is not there with Chip, I don't believe.
The road's not there with McLaren either.
Well,
it's possible with McLaren.
That's what they're preaching.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm assuming that's what they're preaching.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think Chip could explain. I'm sure he has to Palou. There's been other drivers that have been with Chip Ganassi that have gone to F1 and have done well. You bring those examples, you bring those drivers in to talk to Alex.
Have they? I was thinking of that earlier today too. Nobody I can think of. He did okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't long term.
Zanardi?
No.
Didn't he go to F1?
He did. Didn't do well.
He didn't do well, but he had the opportunity. I think it's about the opportunity. There's an opportunity to graduate from Chip Ganassi and go to F1, but
I think
it's on you to be successful when you're there, right?
I think those days are gone. I think those opportunities where those drivers leave IndyCar and go to F1 are largely gone. I think F1's gonna be more apt to take somebody from Formula 2 or from their own driver academy, which is what Alpine, I'm sure, just, anticipated doing with Oscar Piastri, and put somebody in their car there, as opposed to reaching across the Atlantic and pulling somebody into
Well,
Formula One from IndyCar.
I think things are cyclical, right? So I think there was a time it was the a step a IndyCar driver could take, which it was. There were several drivers that did that. They were not successful, right? Overly successful. And so it fell off, but I think there's an interest again. So I think it'll come around again in our lifetime in watching IndyCar, and then it'll probably fall out again. But I think it's, like I said, cyclical, and it'll come. I differ from you on that.
Yeah. Yep. 14th place, Marcus Ericsson. This is a mess. Huge hit to Marcus's championship hopes. He's now behind Power and Dixon. Marcus will need to find a win somewhere in the final 3 races to keep this thing interesting if he intends to stay in it. He, of course, tangled with Romain Grosjean, which I think is what put him way behind there. So that was kind of some beef with Romain. So 18th place, Jimmy Johnson. He had an ugly crash on lap 73. He was running 13th at the time. I would call that a good effort, and sad that it didn't pay off, especially on a track like this. I don't think, I wouldn't have expected Johnson to really show well here, but a 13th place finish, I think, for him would have been a really nice finish. I don't know that he would have been able to finish there, but, I'd like to hope. Pretty challenging street course. And
you figure there was 15 cars running at the end of this, so he could have easily finished at 13th. So there were, total mess. But nasty crash, which they said it was the same crash he had last year, in the same exact spot. So I don't know if you saw that replay, but that was unfortunate. But Ericsson, though, that's a bummer for him. Yeah, he's gonna have to find a win. He's 12 points out of the championship lead. Would have been 10 if they didn't let Jimmy Johnson pass him. Keep that in mind. I know I keep bringing it up, but it's top of mind to me. But you're headed off to an oval, and then you got 2 road courses. So there's possibility with the road courses that he could do really well. And I'm not sure on the oval, even though he won the Indy 500. But
not your traditional oval, right? It's not your traditional oval experience. So I understand what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like him. He's a good kid, Ericsson. I think he might be able to do this, but now he's got to pass his teammate too.
Marcus finished 8th at Gateway last year.
Did he? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, he's gonna have to do better than that this year.
He was actually the best finishing Ganassi driver. If I remember correctly, Palou and Dixon were taken out by somebody last year.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah,
it was turn 2. I thought I saw it going up 1 or 2.
I can't wait for us to post our St. Louis podcast, our Gateway podcast, or whatever you want to call it, because last year's Gateway podcast is our worst performing podcast, and it's very likely because I had to do it on my own.
Oh, was that your
it's my solo effort? Yeah.
All right, listeners, go listen to it for Dan. We want to see those numbers go up.
So Dan feels it's horrible.
Yeah, almost like a pre-race show. It's like a post-pre-race for this year. Anyway, I plan to be on for the Gateway.
We always plan. We always plan for that.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Moving on, Scott Mclaughlin, second place. Scott was in command early in this race. Even when not in the lead, he was never out of it. It's just that with this many yellows and the mayhem that was unfolding almost every lap, he couldn't roll off to a dominant finish like he did at St. Pete. Still, he led 22 laps. He might have fallen 1 lap shy of taking victory here. It's just tough to pass in Nashville. And he had a pit stop issue as well early on in the race. That didn't help, but it didn't seem to really hurt him with this second place finish.
Yeah, he lost the lead on a yellow flag, right? So Palou and others had pitted, and the yellow flag came out, so he was shuffled to 8th or whatever it was.
Yeah, Palou was lucky to pit at that time. That was Elio's spin when
because his tires were going off.
Yeah,
he's like, "We got to come in now," and then the yellow just hit, and he was up front.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Mclaughlin, if it was a normal race, I think he would have taken this victory, right? If it was
absolutely
dominating. When I say normal, I just don't know all the yellows and the yellows affecting
not 36 laps
and everything. Yeah. So awesome car. I think if you had 2-3 more laps, he would have got Scott Dixon at the end of the day. I just think he had the power off the corners a little bit better than what the Honda did. But still, he was happy with the finish. I saw the post-race interview, and he was happy to re-race in his, I think it's kind of like his hero, Scott Dixon, right?
Yeah.
He's like, that was so awesome.
So
he enjoyed it. And I even saw when he crossed the checkered flag that he did the fist pump. He was excited where he finished at the end of the day. But, taking pole, which he did, and finishing second, it's a good day overall. But anybody who's on pole obviously wants to bring it home, but it wasn't meant to be.
Yep. Sixth place, Joseph Newgarden. Here's someone that didn't seem to have trouble passing toward the later stages of this race, unless, of course, you ask, Grosjean, Hinch, or eventually Townsend Bell, or maybe even Rossi or Herta or Davey Hamilton, who does the radio broadcast. And what I'm referring to is Joseph's pass on Grosjean. So you saw it today. It seemed desperate to me.
You're trying to pass 3 cars.
Yeah,
it's very desperate. I don't think he makes the corner. He pushed into Grosjean, right?
Yeah.
He had too much speed carried into the corner, and he used Grosjean as a bumper in order to keep on going. And Grosjean hit the wall, and then there's no penalty to Newgarden, which kind of surprises me.
Earlier in this race, there was another accident in that same spot between rookies. Kirkwood on the left or inside, right, turn, and Malukas on the outside. Do you know who was blamed for that crash? Kirkwood.
Yeah.
Same place that Newgarden was and got away with it.
I will say Newgarden was further up on Grosjean than Kirkwood was on Devlin.
Sure. Totally agree.
Yeah. So.
Right. And I feel like Grosjean still gave him enough room. The track is just too narrow.
Oh, Grosjean did give him room, but Newgarden was too hot going into the corner. So he's too hot. You got to use the car next to you.
He passed 3 cars.
He passed 3 cars on that, which he was never going for Grosjean. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, there's an opening. I'm just going to keep going. And he did it. And it ended up with Grosjean in the wall. And then his post-race interview was like, oh, that's just racing, right? That's what we do here in IndyCar, right? You got to put your shoulders out. And it's to Grosjean, who does it to everybody else. So it's fine.
Yeah, he was indignant is really... And his long-winded answer about it too. Yeah, indignant, arrogant. I agree with you. And I think that he knew it. That's why he was trying to justify it. Look, he should win this championship, and he should be leading this championship on the strength of 4 wins. It's just too much inconsistency throughout this season. And in this particular race, if it weren't for the volume of yellows and a play it by ear kind of strategy, he could have won this race. There's no reason for him to race the way he's racing. No reason for him to be racing.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the movie made on him, on Grosjean, and I don't like how flippant he was at the end about it. Like, oh, it's just what we do.
Indignant.
Yeah, indignant.
It's one of my favorite words.
That's a nice word.
11th place, willpower, patient power. Tim, I don't remember hearing anyone recently complain of an issue that was plaguing willpower, and it was the no lift shift wasn't working right. And what I heard on the radio today, because I listened to the radio broadcast today, is that his dash was out. So he didn't even know for sure what gear he was in. So when Will said he was driving this thing manually, he was really driving this thing manually. Do you remember ever hearing that? I mean, no lift shift feels to me like it's been around as long as I've been watching.
Here's the deal, though. It happens every once in a while, but it only happens when a car behind you hits you right in the gearbox and messes with one of the sensors.
Yeah.
And that's happened. I believe it happened when Graham hit into whoever who hit into power. And at the end of the day, that's what sort of messed that up. Yeah. He had an issue from there. Was it?
He hit Pato. Yeah. Pato checked up. Yeah. Graham hit him. And I think
it broke Pato's gearbox, right? Yep. And Power had this glitch with his instrument panel and the shifting and all that. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it could have been a lot worse. It could have been no drive, right? So he was second at one time, but not having all the assist, if you want to call it that, or the visuals and the cues, and
Right.
not having to have the electronic shift, so that way you don't have to lift off the gas. He just nursed it around until 11th place finish, which goes to your point. It's patient power, right? He
Yep.
took what he could get,
Took what he could
and
get.
circumstances didn't work out for him on the track where he got hit from behind. And so there you go, 11th place finish, keeps the lead in the championship, and carries on to, races that are going to be a little more predictable.
Yeah. You still believe Newgarden has this over Will for the
I hope
season
not.
championship?
I hope not.
We're falling out of love with Joseph Newgarden, aren't we?
Yeah.
Joseph with an F, not a PH.
Yeah. That drives me nuts. It's still bothering me.
I know it does. I can't believe you're taking the side of what. We'll have an episode on that one at some point.
You're gonna be a rant on that one. Then
No,
someone
I
call me
don't.
someone will say that I love somebody else. I don't know. I'm just dumb like that.
You
But
get called out, Timmy.
does Newgarden still have a chance? For sure he does. Do I think he's going to do it? No.
I don't think so either. I've been saying it.
22
right?
back.
Yeah. If it's not power, it's Dixon.
Well, that's the easy choices, right? It's 1-2.
We'll get there at the. I've been saying it for a few episodes now, so we'll get there when we get to championship setting. So, moving on, Andretti.
Keep scrolling down to look at it. So
Andretti Autosport, 4th and 5th for Rossi and Herta, who were both down a lap earlier in this race, as you mentioned. Again, the mayhem of this race means nobody is ever truly out of it, unless, of course, you're put in the wall by a very aggressive 4-time winner. Did I say that? Who am I referring to? Joseph with an F. That's what, of course, befell Grosjean, who finished 16th. I still put Newgarden at fault here. I just said it. He was indignant when asked about it. We've talked about that a lot. That's probably why I'm Team Grosjean in this case. So
I am as well.
Yep.
It's a bonehead move.
Love it. I love it when
you're not to take blame for it and just like, that's how we race.
That's welcome to IndyCar. Rossi finishes 4th, locked up and stalled the engine, put him a lap down. Didn't matter. Colton Herta tangled with Dalton Kellett, putting him in a wall down, putting Kellett out. Herta a lap down as well. Didn't matter. Roman Grosjean, of course, finished 16th with his situation with Newgarden. DeFrancesco finished 22nd. I don't even know what to say here with this.
That's why Andretti's shopping.
Yep.
That's what you got to say.
Yep.
Yeah, we kind of talked about these guys, right? With Rossi and Herta, and even their interviews, they were pleased with their results. Based on going a lap down, you don't ever expect to be just off the podium.
Yeah,
it's insane to even think about.
I know, yeah.
And then Rossi had another incident where he went off and had to do a spin around to get back on track because someone had a blown tire or something and pushed him off.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's just the nature of this race. You have no idea what's going to happen. And it's so bizarre that you go a lap down and you finish where you finish. Really bummed for Grosjean. That should have never happened. And I think Newgarden should have been penalized for sure for that. Yep. But he wasn't.
Aaron McLaren, decent finish by Felix to bring it home 7th, especially when you consider his 15th place starting position. He was able to take advantage of the late yellows. Let's face it, he was able to take advantage of all the yellows and that red flag. He moved to the alternate tire late in this race, which surely helped him. He had more grip than anybody. And, unfortunately, O'Ward wasn't so lucky and wasn't really able to show his strength. Pato finished 24th. He was caught up in one of the more bizarre yellow flags that saw Graham and O'Ward come together. O'Ward hit power, then O'Ward loses drive. Somehow all that led to Graham, Pato O'Ward, Elio Castroneves, Dalton Kellett, Callum Ilott, Scott Dixon, our eventual winner, Simona Di Silvestro, all parked on track. And that ended the day, not only for O'Ward, but also for Dalton Kellett and Simona Di Silvestro. We didn't see much of that Acumatica car at all, unfortunately.
No, nothing at all.
Yeah.
That was a bizarre incident where all the cars were parked in the parking lot, which was the track. It was that's what happens when you got a tight track like that, a narrow track, no one can get around each other. I don't know.
I say we move this race to the fairgrounds and just go back to the oval.
Do it. That'd be great.
Let's have some weekend parties in downtown Nashville, Broadway.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, before we move on from Aaron McLaren, did you see the news about Felix's deal? with McLaren? Remember this deal that was announced?
There is no deal
around Detroit. Exactly.
Deal, no deal, right?
Yeah. Where's Howie Mandel?
Yeah, like what's going on? It's so crazy. Like deal, no deal.
So,
I did see that. Go on.
Yeah, depending on how the Palou situation lays out, we may or may not see Felix in that Arrow McLaren in 22. We may not see him in 23. We may not see him in 24. We don't really know what's going on with Felix's deal.
No, it's the whole Zach Brown issue that is causing a stir in multiple series. It's baffling. Someone's going to sign him. Someone's going to sign him. He'll be in IndyCar. He's not going to Formula E. That's my prediction at this point. And who knows going to be in the McLaren car? You're going to have Palou and Rossi and Pato, maybe. I don't know.
I'm putting 50-50 on Palou in that third car at this point. I'm almost putting him more in the Ganassi car. I don't. Chip's not going to go through this. I still think it's weird, but I still feel like Chip's doing it for a reason, and I wonder if Chip's doing it to save Palou. I know we talked about that, and we got to move on, but I still feel like.
Wait a minute. Does Penske go to a fourth car next year? There's been no talk of that. Nope. Not a chance.
Nope. None. 0.0. 0.
Never say never.
I say never in this situation.
But put that in the mix. What happens if you get a fourth Penske car? Which there's been no talk about it, but if you do, how does that change the whole driver carousel?
No idea, because that ain't gonna happen. Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan. Which, speaking of, right? Ray Hall, had glowing things to say about Felix a couple of races ago, and they called that press conference for that third extension. Imagine that. And there was a second there where we thought, there was a second there where I thought Graham might have announced his retirement, and I was going to have to tell you, oh my God, you were right.
I know, but I'm never right. So listen.
And that could have been a spot for Felix, right? Which would have been a great win for them. Yeah.
Did you see Mike Lanigan? You said no.
I did not.
He's like 92.
Okay.
I looked him up.
For real?
Well, yeah, I looked him up on Wikipedia. That's what I always do.
Wow.
And so
I did not
remember the comment we heard in Detroit, and then I realized how old he really is. So that's just interesting.
Yeah, that's good. Wow.
He had to be there to know the conversation, so we're not going
to get in there. Yeah. Nonetheless, Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan, 92. This team continues to find pace, and not just in race trim, but also in qualifying, specifically for Christian Lundgaard.
2 races.
They finding pace. Eighth place for Lundgaard. Started third, showed consistent pace throughout this race. He was well on his way to a podium here before that red flag. And then unfortunately, coming to the restart, he got hung out to dry, lost 5 positions. I applaud his craftsmanship here, because he could have easily fought the drop and took people out, including himself. So he kept his head about himself. 10th place. You don't know Jack.
Oh my goodness.
No one knows Jack. Good for Jack. 10th place. Best finish for Jack, not only of the season, but in his time with Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan.
But I do have to say,
more to come, I hope.
More to come, you hope. But there's zero coverage of him the whole race.
No.
Unless I zoned out for a minute.
You might have zoned out, because it felt to me like most of the last hour when they would do the rejoins from commercial, they were in Jack's car, in Jack's camera.
Wow.
So I think they were showing love to Hy-Vee. Might have been a Hy-Vee contract thing, but they were showing a lot of love to Hy-Vee. So they were in Jack's car a lot during the rejoins.
What color was his car this weekend?
Red.
Red?
Yeah. I think the red car is pretty cool. I like the red car.
I did watch the race, but I don't remember what color his car was.
Red car.
Right.
23rd place, Graham. Graham wasn't giving up without a fight, though. He drove that damaged Dallara back to pit road.
He was mad at the wall.
Oh, he was mad at everybody and the wall. He was riding that front wing. That car was smoking like a James Bond chase scene, right? I mean, wing change. They sent him out with some kind of damage in the rear because it was shaking all over the place. He parked it at pit out. Honestly, I didn't even realize they got him fixed and back out on track until he was in the wall again. So whatever it was, they had him fixed just enough. I believe it was ongoing mechanical issues. I don't think that Graham missed it that much, but unfortunately, that impacted Renus because Renus, of course, wasn't expecting Graham to be there in the wall. Renus took his regular line, and that put him right into the back of Graham. So, Tim, your thoughts on RLL's resurgence? He was mad. He was mad at the wall.
Rear-ending somebody. Then he had the wing underneath. Then he was on the bridge, and then it veered off and hit the wall. And then, like you said, they sent him out. And his rear toe link, something in the rear was broken.
I almost thought
like that lumping around.
I know. I thought that like the wheel was loose. Like I thought they didn't get the wheel on all the way.
And then they fixed it to send him out to just get back at the wall, just T-bone it.
Yeah, but this team needs testing time, so they need time on track. So that's probably why they just.
But you're asking me about the resurgence.
Do you don't buy it?
I don't know if it's resurgence. It's like their surgence, their first time doing something in 2 races. Their surge. I'm glad they've made progress, and I don't know what the change has been. We were speculating that they went to pre-aero screen setups, but we don't know if that's the case. Lundgaard looks good. That's all.
Real deal.
Good. He's got great demeanor, even when he's interviewed. Like he's focused for a 21-year-old kid. That's all he is. He's a young kid. To be doing that and leading the team with results in the last 2 events, that's good. And I was bummed he got shoved to the back. So hopefully he doesn't take that as a lesson to put your elbows out and push on people, because that's not the way to race, in my opinion.
I think you can put your elbows out to a degree, but I think you got to be smart in the moment, right? Take what you can get.
Yeah, I agree. But, sometimes they'll end up really bad, right? You look at what happened to Palou at Road America, right? Where he got pushed out by his teammate and had the same tap you do on everybody else, and you break the front toe link on the Palou's car, and he's out and he's angry about it. So it's risky. I think it's risky either way. But if you're going to do it, you got to be 4 tires next to each other, right? The 2 left side and right side right against each other. You can't be off on that. But I'm happy for the team. Graham had a bum day. Harvey, great job on 10th. Good deal.
Celebrate.
We'll see what they do at Iowa.
Yep. No.
Gateway. Yeah, we'll see what they do in St. Louis. See.
Yeah, Gateway.
Sorry.
St. Louis, which is actually in Illinois, as you pointed out.
I know. It's
when I was there. Yeah.
Across the river.
Yeah. Shank, 9th place for Simon Pagenaud. Tim, let me throw something at you because there's really not much to talk to here. I'd like to see Simon at Andretti in the number 29 as the adult. Maybe I shouldn't say the adult, as the team leader role. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I've never thought about that. That would be
basically
good. He's driving an Andretti car anyway.
Yeah.
They said he had the same setup as Herta. I like that. I don't know what happened to him, though. He got shuffled back, too.
He did. They have no time. And here's the deal. For next year, Michael Shank, if you're listening to the race or anybody from Shank, first of all, we'd love to have you on the show. Second, we have to do something to differentiate these cars a little bit better, because I'm a fan, and there's 3 of the same cars on the road, and I don't know who's who.
Yeah.
I watch every race. I have a podcast on IndyCar, obviously, and I don't know who's who. So it's so hard for me to know what's going on with Pagenaud or Castroneves and Rossi, who's basically in the same car too.
Yeah, that pink livery with Auto Nation. It's just hard to differentiate. You're absolutely right. Back in the day, you put different color mirrors on and
roll hoops and stuff like that. I'm sure there's some differentiation there, but we're not picking it out.
You can't tell on TV. Even if you're at the race, I don't think you can really tell.
You can't. Remember, I was telling you at that IMS Grand Prix in May that I was at, there was 2 orange cars. One of them was Marinas VK. Somebody else had an orange car, like an orange livery there. I didn't know who was who. Yeah. I think it was Grosjean. I couldn't tell who was who in that case.
Yeah.
When they'd come by me.
Yeah, it's tough. Speaking of liveries, though, the best one at this race at Nashville was Lundgaard, in my opinion. I like that white and orange. It looked really good.
Yeah. Yeah. White, red, and orange. Yeah. It was pretty cool. Yeah. I agree.
Remember last year, Aero did the different paint scheme?
Yeah.
For Nashville. So that was.
They had the best livery last year.
I know. I don't know why they don't bring that back, but whatever. Yeah.
Hey, so back to the thing. You like that, Simon going to Andretti to be the team leader?
I do like that. He's got a lot of. He's not super old.
He's very mature. Yeah.
He's very mature. He's been with great teams, right? He's been with Penske. He'd be a great team leader, and I think he could pull that off with Mike Shank to go, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I guess you could give him Devlin, but I don't know how that would work out if you want to have Devlin still.
I think Devlin's done. Devlin's going to go to LMP2.
Okay. Which we saw him at Daytona.
Yeah, we did. And we'll see him again. So Simon finished 9th after starting 13th. He ran as high as 7th in the first 12 laps of this race. So did good, picked up some places, probably was just fighting this car and fighting the track and all the other mayhem around him. 13th place for Elio Castroneves. That's a gift as far as I'm concerned. He had a spin on lap 22. Seemed odd to me, almost like he was on the gas too early coming out of that turn 3. Tim, did you see the post on Twitter saying that Elio was in the Juncos garage?
No, I missed that.
Hey, Tim, there was a post on Twitter that said that Elio was in the Juncos garage. Frankly, It means nothing. Juncos can't pay Elio. I don't see Elio moving to a team this short of resources just to stay in IndyCar. And Elio doesn't bring a budget. He's a paid driver. This is a lose-lose for everyone. It's not happening. I think we're trying to put something there when there is nothing there.
Yeah, maybe he's just socializing. Sometimes that happens, right?
I think I thought I heard somebody say, and I couldn't find it again, and I didn't come back to it. Was I think Elio and Ricardo, maybe when Ricardo was racing, had a relationship, like a coach mentor kind of relationship there with Elio. Okay. And I think that's why he might have been in there. Just, hey, Tim, they spend this much time together, during the year. So, friendships are bound to, to happen there organically. So it doesn't surprise me. So,
yeah. Who was tweeting all this good stuff? Anybody you want to mention or no?
No,
I might want to
nobody I want to mention. Phone. Yeah. Nobody I want to mention. So,
this will be my first time on Twitter.
Ed Carpenter Racing, Renus VK, 12th place. Not a great way to celebrate a multi-year extension, but considering how much pinballing was happening out there, I think it was a reasonable finish. And like I mentioned, he hit the back of Graham, so that necessitated another stop for Renus. Tim, I mentioned to you I had mixed feelings about this move. This move being Renus re-signing with Ed Carpenter Racing.
You did. Was it mixed or was it? I don't know if it was mixed.
Yeah, mixed. For me, I'm happy. Yeah, it wasn't mixed to you. I'm happy he settled, right? But multi-year at Ed Carpenter Racing, I feel like he's selling himself short. And let me explain to you why. In an article by Marshall Pruitt on Racer.com, Renus has a few quotes. I'm gonna bear with me just for a moment. Here's what Renus had to say. There's definitely stuff opening in 2024, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. So we'll see how that goes. But I think it's not bad to be off sequence contractually with many other guys. I think there's a lot of seats to open and a lot of guys coming out of their contracts in 2023. It will be a lot of drivers trying to get into those seats. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing for me. Tim?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, for me, here's what that means to me. He doesn't have enough confidence in himself to be in the mix with other drivers at the end of 2023. You know, one of the seats that's going to be open at the end of 2023? The number 12. Right? Amongst others, for sure.
Yep.
Amongst others. I would have signed, this certainly wouldn't have been my attitude, I can tell you that right now. If it were me, I would have signed a 1-year deal with ECR with a mutual option to see what's happening in 2023 at the end of 2023. Put your feelers out, right? I got a ride. I'm good with this ride. It gives me a chance to win the Indy 500, which is what everybody's looking for, right? And then I can see what else is happening in the driver market. And if it doesn't work for me, then I can sign my mutual extension for 2024, right? What are your thoughts?
I like the stability part of it. I think it's good for.
There's my mixed part. I'm glad with the stability, but long term.
But I think it's good for I'm looking at it at the series as a whole. I think it's good for the series to help build the Ed Carpenter racing team up to another level. And so I think it's good that there's some consistency there. And I think it's good that you've got a kid who's got a lot of potential and can drive, hasn't shown it all the time this year, right? He struggled at the beginning of the season, but I think they can put some victories together. They can build that team. They might be able to attract some additional different engineers or what have you if they've got Renus in the seat, because everybody sees his potential. And so maybe it's a way for Ed Carpenter Racing to build upon what they have today, which there's a good organization, but they're not a Penske, they're not a Ganassi, and no one really is. Those are kind of the top two. But for them to build up and be a better organization. So I like it for the betterment of the IndyCar series as a whole. I don't think Renus is selling himself short, right?
I do.
So he goes in Devlin's seat. Is that an upgrade for him? Like
It is.
it is. Can we talk about all the woes?
He was
that
in. He could have been in.
And
Dude,
are they?
we don't know what's going to happen with the number 10.
We don't.
Right? We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with the number 10. Why would you sign now?
I don't.
Even if Ganassi wasn't taking you, why would you sign now?
They paid him and he's happy. Like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I wouldn't do that. Burn the hand worth two in the bush is what you're saying. I get it. I get it. I don't know that I would have done that. But then again, I'm a soda pop salesman. I sit right here and do this every Monday. Not what he does.
yeah, I think
right?
some people just like stability and know where they're going to be the next couple of years and have that, and it might help him just. I'm not saying he's immature, but maybe he'll just mature over time. And there's still opportunity, I think, even after a couple of years to go to a different team. He's super young himself.
Yeah.
So I think there's opportunity there.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see where it goes. We'll see how that plays out. I don't know where it's going to go, but I think they'll do fine. I think they'll do just fine.
Moving on with Ed Carpenter, 17th place for Connor Daly. Didn't see much of Daly at Nashville. Not a great finish, but he never really seemed to have a feel for this track. He started 22nd. I know he got tagged from behind. I don't even know by who. Seemed to cause some transmission problems. There you go with that transmission problems again. Bummer, though, all around for Connor with this race. Speaking of bummers, 26, Simona Di Silvestro last, caught up in the Nashville Mayhem, lap 25, which ended her day. Good news here, though, there's always a silver lining, is we'll see Simona at Laguna Seca for the season finale. So happy to hear that.
Oh, that's new news.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah, love that. Juncos, tough stretch for Juncos and Callum of late. 15th place finish in Nashville after a 19th place start. Team likely needs the week off before they get back at it for Gateway. This is the little team that can. And they have been doing well, but I think this stretch here is where you run into problems with the lack of resources. And I'm not talking financial, I'm talking people, right? Foyt, more trouble after what was a terrific start for both Kirkwood and Kellett. Kellett started 12th, which was, I didn't even look it up. I'm just venturing to say it's probably his best start of his career.
It is.
Is it? He got caught in the parking lot.
Yeah, but I don't think it was earned.
25.
I know that's harsh to say. Did you watch qualifying?
Nope. I did.
It was like red flag. No one got their hot laps in the Q1 session, and Collette got in. But they played it on strategy, right? They went out on the green tires.
Yeah.
I know they're not red.
Yeah.
The green tires, they were out on the green tires, and they ended up getting through. They were super stoked. Like I said, I watched qualifying. Which is
this team is nowhere. It has been nowhere. Right, for the most part. So, yeah, they were super stoked. So, Kirkwood started 16th, finished 19th, coming together with fellow rookie David Malukas. I'll tell you, Tim, though, I can't help but feel there's a lot of broken cars, at the hands of Kyle Kirkwood. I'm kind of surprised by this, given his success and occasional dominance in the junior series. He is off to Andretti next year. We know that for fact. You expect better there? You expect Kirkwood to be better there at Andretti?
Yeah, I think he's frustrated and overdriving the car because it's not a good car.
I don't want to say this because I think this is bad. My concern is always that he's given up, knowing he's leaving. knowing he's going to a better team, an alleged Big Three team.
Yeah, an alleged. Uh,
There's
I don't
another
think he's given
off-season
up.
story we can
No,
talk
I
about.
think he's just overdriving it to compensate for the car not handling the way
Maybe.
it should or could. But he was up there. Him and Malukas were both up there, gonna
Yeah.
get a good
Malukas
result.
has
and then
been the better driver until recently with Lundgaard.
Yeah, I don't know why you try to make that pass and not even all the way up next to him, and then it's just ugly.
Yep.
Dumb. Yeah, the
Rookie
bonehead move.
Yep. Rookie move. Dale Coyne Racing, 20th for Malukas after the aforementioned tangle with Kirkwood. Sato-san finished 21st after a really unfortunate tangle with DeFrancesco. Tim, was there going to be a fight there? I swear I saw something on Twitter suggesting that Sato was confrontational with DeFrancesco, had to be restrained.
Oh, well, I didn't see that part, but I did see that. I'm trying to picture that fight, by the way, based on.
I know, I can't get it out of my head. Yeah.
That's what my pause was about.
Did he take off his helmet? That's the first question I always ask. Did he take off his helmet? Because if he did, he meant business.
I saw the post-race interview with Sato or after the incident, and he was very cordial, and he's a gentleman. Awesome.
Yeah, he's an person.
Awesome dude. Awesome dude.
A lot of carnage. He's caused his own fair share of wrecks out there over his career, but he is still a gentleman. I mean, he's still a good person. So
yeah, I like him. I'll just say that.
Timmy, 3 races left in the season. Next up is Gateway in 2 weeks. Who do you like for Gateway? Don't read the notes.
Newgarden.
Who you like? Stop it. Do you really?
I had to say it.
I know.
I like Marcus. He needs a win to win the championship.
He does. He needs a win to stay in the conversation.
Podcast that he was the best finisher for Ganassi. So let's say he takes it to the top of the house for Ganassi, but maybe they're not very strong there. So my backup is Newgarden.
Yeah.
How about you?
I don't know who I like best at Gateway, but here's what I'll say. Right, Penske in 2021 didn't have the best year. Right? Didn't have the best year last year. Chevy wasn't as good last year either. But at Gateway, Newgarden won. Power took 3rd, and Mclaughlin was 4th. So I would say Penske, but anything can happen in IndyCar.
Yeah. I didn't know those stats. I did not read the notes before the show, by the way. Yeah. So that's very interesting. Championship
standings, Will Power, 450 points. Second place, Scott Dixon, 6 points behind. Marcus Ericsson is 12 points behind. In third place, Joseph Newgarden, 4th place, 22 points behind. Palou, 33 points behind. 6th place, Scott McLaughlin, 58 points behind. 7th, O'Ward, 59 points behind. I'm not going to keep going. I'm ending it there because what I'm going to say there is it's really the top 5, which is Power, Dixon, Ericsson, Newgarden, and Palou, I think are really the ones that have a chance at this championship. I know that the rest of these guys are all mathematically still in the hunt, but I don't think it's likely. I think McLaughlin, who has had a terrific season, is going to be a star and a champion with Penske for many years. Is out of it for this year. Also, I believe Award's out as well. So, Tim, I mentioned it earlier. I'm still taking Power for the championship. If not Power, then Dixon. Yeah, that makes it look like genius given what I just read to you, but I've been saying that for a few weeks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think obviously they're the front runners and they're the ones to beat and go after at this point. Ericsson still has a shot. He's just going to put together 3 good races and hope others have bad luck. I would think for him to win it. And I believe the number 4 guy, Newgarden, number 4 in the championship standings, by the way, has a really good shot too. And you can't count Palou out even at Nashville here with that wing that you mentioned. He's still really good, and he's fast. And if he gets the team behind him. I'm not saying they're not behind him, but
the Ganassi cars were not good at Iowa. And I don't know that that's necessarily going to translate to Gateway, but they weren't good at Iowa. They were great at Indy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Almost 1990.
That's different setup, right? They'll have the large wings on, right? They'll have the
I think so. Yeah.
For Gateway. Yeah, they're not going to have super speedway wings, so it's back to Iowa setups, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and if Penske, does what they did last year based on what you put in the notes here, then that's gonna be tough to beat those guys.
Yeah.
It not only in the race, but I'm talking the championship overall. If they're all up top and you have the Chip Ganassi cars struggling because you got Dixon, Erickson, and below right there.
Yep.
It's, what is it? The top 6 are all from those 2 teams. Am I seeing that right?
Yeah.
Oh, think of that, people.
Yep. Penske, Ganassi.
See you the power too.
Penske. Yeah, that was the whole Twitter thing, wasn't it? Oh no, you missed it. You haven't been on social media. So anyway, that's all I have. Right. Sorry we didn't have more on the IMSA race or the Waiuli tire. I did want to get into the Waiuli tires, so perhaps
did you really?
Yeah, I did.
That
perhaps we'll have a sustainability show during the off season. So get ready for it.
But what happens to those trees or whatever they were?
I don't know. Stay tuned.
You're going to harvest them all.
Show.
You're going to harvest them all, and
stay tuned for the Waiuli
tree,
show.
and it's going to mess up the environment. I don't know
how it works. It's sustainable, and it's drought proof, and it's grown here in the United States.
But if it's drought,
the other stuff is not.
But if you're chopping it all down to build tire, I don't know.
It's not what you're doing.
I need more information on it.
No kidding.
That's good.
Be sure to engage with us on social media. Consider becoming a Patreon supporter. You can find information on all of this and more in the show notes. That's all I got. Tim?
That's all I have. Can't wait for
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Even though it was yesterday, you should have license to celebrate all week. So.
Well, yeah, I guess the week started with my birthday, right?
Sure.
The week starts on Sunday.
Yes, it does.
It does every week. Yeah. Most people don't think that, but I do. Yeah, it's celebrated just fine. I'm now as old as you, right?
Yep, finally.
Oh, yeah, we're the same age.
About damn time.
I know you went early on me. So yes, I'm good for my side. Great show, Dan.
Thanks, Timmy. Good show.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you.